some people, because they want to be looked at a certain way in front of other people's eyes, they have the wrong priorities.
Yeah.
So when you live in a mindset where you care more about what other people are going to say about you, you've already lost in life. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Elevate. My name is Jessica.
My name is Darwin.
Welcome to episode 83.
Let's get it. We got a fireplace for you guys today.
Yes, we changed up the scenery.
Nice and cozy. Let us know what you think. Or should we bring back the Elevate logo?
So today I want to talk about...
Yeah, well, we're just going to ignore you. Look mad cute with those glasses.
Thank you. So yeah, I know I'm usually not wearing glasses, but I got new glasses and I feel like, wearing them, and, just changing up the look here. I usually only needed to see from far. So my life is a big blur when I don't have them on. I mean, I can see, but if you're too far, I might not see you. But anyways, today I want to talk about priorities. The priorities we take in our lives and how pride can take a role in choosing the wrong priorities.
Okay. Give me an example.
So, for example, there are people who I see choosing the wrong priorities. I'm going to give you an example, right? 2020 time, right? Everything, what happened in 2020, right? Everybody, we don't want to mention the word here, because we don't want YouTube to get triggered. But, here in the United States, a lot of people got what they called stimulus checks, right? And at that time, a lot of people were going through,
balling.
I mean, people were getting laid off, the future was very uncertain. And so a lot of people took that stimulus, right? And they used it to pay off debt, right? Or they used it for bills that they actually needed to pay. Things that were actually priority, right? While others, you would hear comments, saying they took the money to get a lipo. They took their money to do things that maybe in that person's life, that's a priority, right? You want to look good, I understand. But the reality is, if you're drowning, let's say, in my opinion, my perspective, you're drowning in debt, you're drowning in bills, you're drowning with other problems that should be priority, right? Your kids maybe need winter clothes. You're using your credit card for food, which is not a good thing, right? These are priorities, right? But some people, because they want to be looked at a certain way in front of other people's eyes, they have the wrong priorities. And sometimes what people don't understand is that I'm not against these things. This was just an example, right? Because if you're set, right? You're straight, you're not in debt, your house isn't falling apart. You could do whatever you want with your money. You can do whatever you want with your money. But sometimes people don't understand that the issues that they're having are not really that their body isn't looking the way they want. It's more up here, right? Because if you're in a situation where you're bad financially and you decide that when you get this money, you're going to go under the knife before putting everything else straight, you have a problem. You might not want to admit it, but you do. Because there's other things that should be more priority. Another example would be, I hear this a lot in the Spanish community, especially the Dominican community. There are people who migrate to this country for a better life, and they come here to work primarily. But they live here for years and years, and, they have this vision that they're going to retire to their homeland. But in the meantime, while they're here, they work, and everything they have, they send to their country. So their house in their country can look immaculate, right? Can look super, they have money, right? But here they live in very bad conditions.
Most Dominican families.
I don't want to say most, but there's some people that do that.
That want to live over there and send most of the money over there. I feel like it's most.
Yeah, but there's a difference. You can work here, send some money to your country because you want to help your people out. You want to have a nice home over there for when you're retired. I get it. But in the meantime, you're going to treat yourself like you're putting yourself in second place, right? You're not living comfortably where you're living at currently, because you want to send everything to your country so that you can show the people over there that you're making it, right? But meanwhile, you're here, you're living in almost poverty. And I think that that's such a wrong way of living, because sure, you have this plan to retire to your country, but life is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
You don't know where you're going to be tomorrow. And so, sure, you should plan long term. We advocate for that all the time. You shouldn't just YOLO your life and not have a plan for the future. But in the meantime, try to enjoy your life. Don't treat yourself like a peasant. Don't treat yourself like, you don't deserve good things. Don't do things just for what other people might say and how other people might look at you. That's where I feel like there's a problem, because it's not about you sending nice things to your country and having a beautiful home in your homeland. That's all great and dandy, but treat yourself where you live, treat yourself right. Because again, you have these long-term goals, but you don't know where you're going to be tomorrow. And like I know like at the beginning, how a lot of us also, let's say, for example, when we first moved in, I remember us feeling so like pressed to have to buy like, new cups and have like the nicest, glass cups and this, not thinking because we need it for ourselves, because we don't need 5,000 glass cups in our cabinets. We're only 2 people at the time, right? But thinking about when we get visitors, right?
We used to have a whole bar. A lot of people do that too, like a whole bar.
Which was great. I loved it. But was it necessary? I still don't regret how we had our home decorated when we first moved into our first apartment. It was great. I personally loved it and enjoyed it myself.
Yeah.
But the part of like having 50,000 ceramic plates and, glass cups to like drink juice, realistically, how many visitors are you getting? And
then we used to be like, we're going to buy paper plates for us because we don't want to clean.
So we want to give the visitors the pretty nicest plates and glass cups, right? Meanwhile, we want to eat in the shittiest plate, right? And so this is something that has evolved for me over time. This is something that I have learned to do in a different way. I started thinking about it differently. When I cook my food, why would I use the ugliest plates that I have in my house? I use the pretty plate, like I want to treat myself as royalty. I want to treat myself like I would treat my visitors. Why treat myself like I'm not the priority when you should be your priority? You should treat yourself well, because at the end of the day, who else is going to do it for you if you don't do it for you?
I've been feeling that way recently, which is weird, I guess, since after like doing all the studio and like this set is nice and all that. And we kind of have 2 years living where we live in. How I told her like, hey, I want to do some like paint, like we should paint, or kind of like bored of our apartment. Mm-hmm. And since we extended our lease, whatever, I'm like, damn, I want to come home and feel different. Like I want my home to, I don't feel like it feels homey right now.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe because we're kind of
used to how it looks. Or maybe too plain. Like we wanted to do a lot of things on the walls that we still haven't gotten around to doing.
But even that, I don't feel like it feels cozy. It just feels like, no. I mean, right now it does because all the Christmas lights are up and stuff. But.
Well, it's a pretty plain look.
Yeah.
The one we have right now.
But I feel like it could still be minimalistic and look nice and cozy.
I mean, I think the only thing that could make a difference in our apartment would be paint.
I guess. But besides the point is, what I mean is like, I've been feeling like not even when people come, like I just want it for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I live in a state. I know that there's still people, Because at one point we used to have this mentality as well when we were younger, because we also grow up in households where, you know, it's like very important, you know, the visita, you know, when you have people over is like, you need to like treat them well. And I agree with that. You should treat your visitors well. You should, you know, have a nice clean home when you have visitors. I agree with that. But you shouldn't just do it because you have visitors over. You should do it for yourself, so that you can feel that peace in your space, so that you can love where you live, so that you can love your room. You can love, you know, the TV set you have, so that you can enjoy it for yourself, not because you want other people to see that you have nice things, because your home is your safe. It's your safe, sacred space for you and your family. And it's very sad to have to live your life making decisions based on what other people will like.
You know, when we first got there and we got Kobe, I mean, some people might still not agree. I don't really care. We used to not let him on the couch because it was like, oh no, when people come. Yeah. And then we realized we can count in one hand the amount of people that come to our house.
And Kobe lives in our house.
Yeah. And then it was like, bro, Kobe's part of the family.
Yes. And he's our baby. So, visitors, I'm sorry, but you come second to Kobe. Kobe is in my house every day. He should be allowed to lounge on my couch if I want to, right? And it's so true. Like, this took a little time for me to come to that conclusion, because at first I was very pressed about him being on my couch. The only place I still don't let him be on is my bed, and it's because I feel like my bed needs to be very, very, very clean. But my couches, Kobe is allowed on my couches. I don't have no problem. You know, I clean the covers whenever I have to clean them. You know, we're thinking of like getting removable covers for our couches, because our apartment, our house, our living room should be designed around my family and our needs, not the visitors' needs. And so this is something that we all should take into account, and we should all take into consideration when making our decisions, even for how our home will look. Do you like how your home looks? Do you like how it feels to you? Yeah. Don't make decisions based on how will the visitors feel when they come into my house, because they don't live there. You do.
Facts. I mean, if it looks nice for you, then it is what it is. They can think whatever they want. Like it's
not their space. It's not their space. They can host. If they don't feel like they like your space, then they can host in theirs. I even go as far as like I use my wine glasses even when I'm not drinking wine, like to drink like my poppies that I love. You know, like I pour them in a glass in a wine glass, just because I like to feel like I'm drinking something fancy in my house. I don't know. I just like to put my drink in something nice. And it's not for anybody. Nobody's looking at me. I'm not doing it for anybody. I just like it for myself. I feel like I'm pampering myself. Yeah. Like even when we make like nice plates, we might not do it every day where we're using the nicest plates we have. But when we do like really like something special, or like like we go all out with our dinner, we pull out our prettiest plates and we just enjoy our food. Like our prettiest plates that we have in the house are not for just our visitors. We use them as well. And
prettiest plates, we means like all white plates.
Yeah, you know, like the ceramic plates, you know, because you have the plastic plates and the kids' plates, you know, the bowls, the cereal bowls, right?
Sometimes, like if I cook, I'll like prep your plate and like a nice plate, and then I'll eat it from like the pot.
What? You know?
I don't got time to garnish my plate.
So yeah, I think that, you know, priorities. Like we need to sometimes think about what is it that we're giving priority in our lives.
So is that good that I prioritize you and not prioritize myself when serving?
No, I think you should put your plate on a pretty plate too. I don't know why you do that.
I got time for that.
Okay, that's your choice. You know, it's okay.
But is that bad?
I mean, no. You do what you want. As long as you're happy.
I'm happy eating, consuming the food.
Sometimes I'm not eating out of the prettiest place. That's not the point. Also, hand in hand with that comes, like I said, pride. Sometimes because of our pride, we choose the wrong priorities in our lives and we focus on the wrong things. And that, leads to us feeling unfulfilled and just feeling overall unhappy in our lives. But hand in hand with that is, I saw this video. These ideas always come from me like watching a video, right? Where this young lady was talking about, she owns a business, and she was talking about how a friend of hers gave her a call and expressed how she was having a hard time financially, right? Mm-hmm. And so this business owner, it's a busy time of the year, it's Christmas time, and I guess she was getting a lot of orders, and it looks like she's a small business, and she packages her own stuff and she delivers it. So she told her, hey, why don't you come over and you help me deliver the packages so I can help you out financially? Do you know what she told her? She said, okay, but then she was like, but what if my boyfriends see me doing that? Mm-hmm. She was worried about her financial state. She was in need of money. And in her mind, what she was worried about was, what if her boyfriend saw her doing it?
Or what if anybody saw her, pretty much?
Yeah.
She didn't want nobody to see her, not even just her boyfriend.
She was ashamed of delivering packages. And as I was hearing her say the story, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. What's wrong with delivering packages? Mm-hmm. Please let me know. You feel like it makes you less of a person?
You
feel like
clearly
you're too
nothing
good
is working for you. So
at that point,
yeah.
You need money,
yeah.
And you're worried about what other people have to say about what you're doing to get money.
Yeah.
I mean, the only scenario I can think that that will cross my mind is like being a stripper.
Yeah, like
or being like in that world, yeah. Right? Like that's the only time that I would be concerned about, like, my integrity, mm-hmm. my values. That's shameful to me in my perspective, like, because it goes against my values, mm-hmm. my character. But delivering packages, facts. I laughed. I was like, I cannot believe that she was even okay saying that out loud. And the young lady that was saying the story, she was just like, I can't believe she even said that. Like, yeah. So she goes, how many packages I deliver in a day? Never in my life have I thought I should hide. I don't want people to see me delivering my packages.
And also it's like you're helping your friend's business. Like, we're growing a business.
I would feel proud. Like, let's go, let's do it.
Especially if you're in a situation where you need money. Like, it's
ridiculous. The amount of pridefulness that some people carry is outrageous. And sometimes people don't even realize that they have these things ingrained in their mind. Because this ties into also when people, for instance, don't go after their dreams because they're afraid of failing. Mm-hmm. And the reason why they're afraid of failing is because they're afraid of what people are going to say if they fail.
That's most of the things, like, since I consume a lot of like business content and say motivational content, most people say that. That is, people's lack of doing things is because not the thought of failing, is the thought of seeing
other people
people seeing them fail.
I have a hard time accepting that.
Because if you start something and you fail, let's say at home, like let's say you start a business, online business, and you fail at home, nobody knows about it. Mm-hmm. Now, if you open, let's say, a studio and it fails, it's like, it's publicly, like, everybody's gonna be like, oh shit, that didn't work out.
I don't give a shit.
No, but I'm saying that's how people look at it.
I tried.
Yeah.
At least I tried. That's how I look at it. Yeah. I gave it my all. I worked my butt mm-hmm. off. And I did that.
And did you fail or did you learn?
Right. At the end of the day, it's not even a fail.
Yeah.
Because you learned something.
Facts.
Right? You learned that maybe the type of business you chose wasn't the type of business you should have chosen. But along the way, you learn basics of a business, right? You get hands-on experience, so you never lose. So when you live in a mindset where you care more about what other people are going to say about you, you've already lost in life. You've lost. I need you to understand. You've lost. It's sad. It saddens me because nobody should live their life based on what other people are going to think.
Yeah.
It's a fail. It's a fail situation.
Yeah, I would say that too about this business that we started. It's like if we ever have to move or close down or like we choose a different business path, it's like the amount of shit that I've learned in this short amount of time is
the amount of people you've met.
Yeah.
The amount of exposure you've gotten with people that are business mindset.
Yeah. And you also just learn about business, about like what is an actual scalable business. Like, is this a scalable business? Is this a business that I created a job for myself and not a business that I can be kind of hands off? Like you learn all those little
like the different types of business, because just because you have a business, they all don't operate the same, and they all don't end up. They're all not going to give you the same results in terms of lifestyle.
And also cap. There's certain businesses that just have a cap on how much you can make, which again, if you're fine with the cap that business can make, totally fine. If you're not happy with that and you realize, oh shit, I started the wrong business, either you have to figure out a way to make that business expand and like break the glass ceiling, or you have to go a different route. Because if that's not what your long game is not that, and you want more, it's never going to work, because you know, like, okay, this business has a glass ceiling.
Yeah. But those thoughts come to people who are not afraid to navigate in waters that they've never navigated in, because we've never navigated in these waters, and not for 1 second have we been afraid of what other people might say if it didn't go well.
Yeah.
That has never been a worry.
Well, some people also just never keep learning. They feel like, oh, I always give the example of, I say a lot of Latinos open usually a bodega when they come, like Dominicans. And when you really sit down and think about the business of a bodega, like they actually become slaves of that business.
Yeah.
Because they're always there. I've had friends that have worked in bodegas before, and the reason why bodega owners are usually so always involved is because them stores usually handle a lot of cash. So they can never trust nobody because there's always so much cash. And it's like, oh, people start pocketing, and people are people, like whoever you hire. And that's why usually they have enslaved.
They have to be very aware of what's happening.
And bodegas are open 7 days a week, all day. And that's why you go, and everybody knows the local bodega owners, and they retire there. Some people are happy doing it.
Yeah, that's just the life that some people want. That's fine.
Or sometimes it's the only life that they know.
True, the only thing they've been exposed to, the only type of business they know about. So I mean, honestly, if you don't continue to educate yourself in other ways, with like reading or attending, seminars with people that maybe are more business savvy than you, it is the smartest thing to do is to do something that you know of, right? That is the smartest thing to do, right? But, nowadays we have so much information in the tip of our fingers. That is, if you were really trying to like learn.
I'll give you a perfect example, because I just thought about like, how can a bodega owner solve that problem? The way a bodega,
we're going into business, I guess.
The way they can solve that problem is like if you think of like any big corporate store, the commercial store that handles like a lot of product, what do they usually do for any product when you're checking out? You have to scan it.
Yeah.
So once they scan that product, it removes from the inventory. Yeah. So if you're the bodega owner,
you need to have an automated system.
Everything needs to be scanned, because then you could just be like, yo, how do we sell 30 cigarettes, but there's only But since there's also sorry, I just went deep into thoughts.
It's just
information.
Yeah. It's just information that maybe sometimes people are not interested in learning. They feel like it's too complicated. They don't want to complicate their lives and they just want to do everything manually. But there are ways nowadays to make business owners' lives easier when in terms of like cash flow and managing your business so that there's less human error, because the more manual your business runs, the more space for human error there is. So, I mean, it's just technical things that every business owner chooses how they're going to navigate through those things. But back to the original topic, you know, pride, make sure you're not letting pride run your life. Make sure you're not letting what other people may think of you be so important that you're not fulfilling your dreams to its full extent. Because if there's one thing that I hear a lot, especially Gary Vee mentions this a lot when he speaks to older folks, what is one thing that they regret? And the one thing that most of them say is not taking more risk, not going for the thing that they wanted to do, not trying the thing that they wanted to try, right? And just living with regret. You don't want to get to an old age and live with regret. The worst thing that can happen if you try something new is it doesn't work out. It's not the end of the world. And for some of us, we take it to heart so much that if we fail, like, oh my God, like, it's not the end of the world. Like most successful business owners have gone through a couple of stages where they failed.
Most of the things are failures, and then you get one good one, and everybody's like, "Oh shit, you made it!"
Right?
Like, even for us, like, you know how we always talked about opening a studio. It's like we'll never, like, that part of our life will never be like, oh damn, imagine if we would have ever opened. Let's say if this doesn't work, we would have been like, oh yeah, we tried it. It didn't work out. It wasn't what we thought it was. But if we would have never tried it, we would have always been like, damn, that business of starting a studio, that would have been good if we would have did it.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, okay, we did it. Does it work? Does it not? We keep moving.
Yeah, we're still in that learning process. Let's see. So far, I think we've been doing great. I'm super proud of our progress. I'm super proud of how the business is going. For two people who have nobody around them to like actually like guide us, and everything we're learning is like online, I feel like we're doing a great job.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm super proud. I'm super proud of myself for not allowing, you know, I'm also not going to sit here and say that I've never have doubt, that we've never had doubt. Yeah. Because I wouldn't even be human if I never had doubt. But my doubts were more so my own doubts, like can we, with our lack of experience, be able to do what we want to do, which is so huge. But it's never been like, we shouldn't do this because I'm afraid we're going to fail, and I'm afraid of what people are going to say if we fail.
Yeah.
I've never felt that way. And thank you, God, Lord Jesus. Thank you for not giving me those thoughts, because that's sad. That's sad. I can't imagine going through my life making decisions based on whether I'm going to be successful or not, or if I'm not successful, you know, what are people going to say? Like, that should be the least of your worries. The least, and people are going to talk. Let them talk. Yeah. If they want to say, you know, talk behind your back and, you know, laugh at the fact that, you know, maybe she didn't do it, you know, good for her, you know, and like.
They failed.
Who cares? Like, do they live with you? Do they pay your bills? Do they live your life? Yeah. No. The answer is no. So it doesn't matter. You need to learn how to brush that off. I'm thankful that I've grown to really brush off how other people feel of what I do. Like, the only people that it would really affect me, you know, and I would even give it a thought, but even then I wouldn't let it stop me, is like my parents. Yeah. Like, them saying something about a project or like a business idea that I have, like them shutting it down, or like telling me, I don't think you're gonna do good in that, you know, or like not supporting me.
And even still, why I feel like I would understand them for being fearful of us trying new things, because to them it's kind of like, first of all, what anything we do is kind of like
New for them. And honestly, I have gotten that feeling, from my parents, where it's like, not entirely like they're like, oh my God, no, don't do that. Like that's not a good idea. They're not directly telling me that, but you can sort of sense, when your parents or people who are close to you are kind of like,
but I think that's
are
more.
You sure of what you're doing?
But that's more concern,
right?
Not like, don't do it, you're gonna fail.
And so that's how I take it all the time, especially coming from my parents, because I know my parents wish me well.
Yeah.
I never in my mind have I thought my parents don't wish me well. I know my parents wish me well. So whenever I see that concern, I know it's coming from a good place of them not wanting to see me, in a troubling situation. But I also understand that they're not going to understand what I'm going through because they've never done it. And even for someone who has the kind of drive that we have, it's scary. Yeah. It's scary for us, so I can't imagine how they feel about it. It's like,
it's scary for us because it's literally uncharted territory.
Right.
Like, every day is something new.
But we've came into it knowing that it was going to feel that way, and that we were just going to have to deal with it. We were just going to have to deal with the ups and downs and deal with the uncertainty sometimes and be okay with that.
Yeah. And everybody does it. That's what the more I always keep studying. I don't keep like, okay, I open my business, like I'm good at, like every day I'm learning something new and getting information from the people actually doing it. And it's kind of like if you scale a business, let's say to $100 million, it's like, if they've never done it, although they have $100 million, like trying to get to 150 is still new to them.
Yeah.
So it's like, you just have more responsibility, but no matter how big, like it's always new, like always.
And something that we've also learned from listening to people who are ahead of us, right, in this game, is that no matter what, or no matter how much money you end up having or how successful your business is, there's always a new level.
Yeah. You're always trying to figure it out.
Right. So there's always there's levels, because right now we're at the very beginning.
Yeah.
So it's probably scarier for us than them, because they have some sort of stability. But
they also have more to lose. So like you at that point, like you are in charge of people's like paychecks and people's livelihood.
Well, they have more responsibility on their shoulders, but they have more of a stability, let's say,
but any business can fail.
True. So the point is that no matter what level of business you're in, or how many times you've done it, or how successful you've been, there's always that what if my next move fails? What if, like there's always another level. Because if there's anything that's interesting about us humans is that we're always trying to elevate. Most people, right? I know that there's some people
what you did there.
I know that there's some people, who get very complacent, but I really truly believe, like Tony Robbins says, we were just watching something that was Tony Robbins, that the human nature is to always find something better, right? Is to always elevate, right? That's our podcast, Elevate. To elevate your life in one way or another. It doesn't have to be financially. It could be physically. Maybe you're trying to get healthier. But there's always something that you're trying to better. Why? Because life gets boring when you just sit down and you say, oh my God, I know everything.
It's that you just have to think about, I always compare to big companies. Apple every year releasing new products, because although their phone might be perfect, they're like, okay, we need to think. Elon Musk is the richest person in the world, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna buy Twitter. He don't need to do that. Yeah. And
there's always something you want to keep evolving. You want to keep, reaching for something more. It's just in the human nature, I believe, and it's what makes us happy, to reach a new level. Instead of just staying stagnant and not learning anything. I think that when we stop learning and we just get complacent and we just don't find anything interesting, right?
Yeah.
That's when depression creeps in.
Yeah.
that's when anxiety creeps in, because your mind isn't busy trying to learn something new, right? You're just like, oh, you know, this is it. Like, life is boring. And our minds are very creative.
Yeah.
Like,
Excuse
you start
the
thinking.
vacuum if you hear a vacuum.
You start thinking about, you know, your mind wants to be busy.
Yeah.
So when it's not, and you're not giving it new substance, you're not learning anything new, you're not meeting new people, you're not socializing, I think that's when depression creeps in, because your mind is just stagnant. You're not feeding it anything.
That's how I felt in my 9 to 5. Like, you noticed that I was getting, because it was just like, bro, this is just like data entry at this point.
Yeah, you were like, this can't be life.
Yeah. And, you know, to the upper management, they was just like, oh yeah, but you can sell more. I'm like, yeah, but I'm still selling more of the same exact thing. I just have to do more volume of
it was
the
too
same thing.
repetitive for you.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah.
Because I do feel that way. Like, at my current job now, it's like you get to a point where it's like you've done almost everything, and it's like, I'm not learning anything.
Yeah.
But what keeps me sane is this, right? So I have my regular job, but I also do this on the side. And so I do podcasting, you know, I do, you know, my fashion videos on Instagram, you know. We're constantly talking about business in the studio and how we can elevate it and how we can improve it. And, you know, how can we make people feel better when they come to our space? So I'm keeping my mind occupied, and I'm learning through this experience. So it just makes everything more fun.
Yeah. I think I mentioned that to you. I don't know if it was on a podcast or just us talking. Like, if I was to be like, oh, that's it, we open a studio, like, I'm good, I could retire. Like, I would be super depressed.
I don't think knowing you, the type of person you are, you're very multi-talented, like I've said in the past. You're very creative. Mm-hmm. I don't think you ever get to a point where it's like, okay, that's it, I'm done. Unless we're like really like later on in life and we're like, okay, we've worked enough. But even then, I think you're going to find something that you want to learn more about. I don't know. You'll learn how to play an instrument. I don't know. Surprise me. But I think that's just so important for life. Yeah. To keep life interesting, to keep life.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have to challenge yourself. Mm-hmm. But this was interesting podcast. A little bit all over the place towards the end. Yeah, sorry. Got into business a little bit, but, you know, it all ties in. You know, just don't let your priorities get scattered. Sit down. 2024 is coming, my people. Don't let this be the year that you're like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And then the end of 2024 comes and you're like, shit, I did nothing. Facts. Don't let that be that year. And be realistic with yourself. What are some of the things that you actually can accomplish and you can stick through? Maybe it's just one thing. Maybe it's just you're very unsatisfied with the way you look and you want to go back to the gym and you want to get in shape. Maybe you just focus on that in 2024. Like, also don't overwhelm yourself with 50,000 things. If you know that you have a habit of not sticking through with your resolutions, maybe pick one that's really important to you and focus on that. Yeah, for sure. But choose your priorities wisely. Stop letting pride get in your way. And that's it for today's podcast, you guys. Thank you so much for watching or listening. If you're here on YouTube, don't forget to hit the like if you enjoyed this video. Comment down below. Let us know what are your thoughts on this topic. Hit the bell so you can be notified every time we post a video. If you're on any of the audio platforms, don't forget to leave us your reviews. It really helps us out. Until next time. Peace.